cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in too. It's time again, you cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in too. It's the #1 podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a corporate standpoint. Real, wherever you from, life is coexistence, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you from, life is
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast for another episode of Black Friday. I'm your host, K Money, and in the building with me, my co-host, Freddie G, Flash, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. You can find us on Twitter at 52 Scott Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And if you're on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Welcome, fellas, to another Black Friday. Today, man, I wanted to talk about generational poverty, which is a phrase that I don't think we hear much of, but I think we've experienced and seen a lot of it. Versus generational wealth. There's a gap that I feel trying to close that gap, and I feel that the generational poverty, well, let me back up. As a child growing up in the hood, I feel like I was a victim, and all I saw was generational poverty. I saw the same thing. It was a pattern, and I couldn't figure out why that pattern was never being broken. The only rich people I could recall seeing back then were athletes, which I only knew one professional player. So the thought of breaking that cycle for me didn't come easy. I felt like if there's a word I'm looking for, it just hadn't jumped in my head yet. But nowadays the spectrum is it's a lot broader than it was when we were kids. The limit to what you can achieve to become successful in life, right, seems more obtainable now versus when I was a child. So to break the that generational poverty line, I felt going to the military probably would have been my best opportunity to I'm not gonna say to bring generational wealth, but put me in a better position, and opportunity to where I possibly could work towards that goal. Right. And again, back in my day, the only people that I think we really saw breaking that pattern on that line was either you were an athlete, or a musician, and more or less, I think I saw more athletes than I did musicians. Right. How do you fellas think about that gap, and us bridging it? We do see a lot more well-off black folk now than we did back in our younger days.
I agree with that.
But the way we're spending our money, is it really being is it staying is it becoming generational wealth, or is it temporary? And we're running out of money and ending up back in that generational poverty stage, if that makes sense.
It makes sense, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because yes, we are bridging the gap. We got a lot of different. Let's just say there are higher income black families more now,
right,
than then. So yeah. Generational wealth is well upon coming. It's just going to take which one of them to realize, okay, what we really have, and boom, So I do think it helps, and it can bridge where hopefully you wouldn't go back to generational poverty after.
I mean, because you've heard of athletes that you think during their career they made several million,
Yeah.
and now you hear that they're bankrupt, which I understand.
Right.
That may be strategically done in some cases, but there are some that are actually broke.
Right.
And after you didn't heard they made this much money throughout
Right.
their career, and
then all of a
how the
sudden,
hell you broke?
Yeah. It happens.
I think we're in a mix. Our generation, actually, that I'm speaking of. I think we are in it's sort of like a balancing scale between. There was a story a guy told me one time. He says, "I drive a Porsche," and then he says, "My son will drive a Lamborghini, but then his son will drive a Hyundai." And I was like, I don't get that. I thought you would go up. He said, no, because that one son driving Hyundai, he'll be building again. I think our generation is at stage 2 and 3 at the same time, because we have people that stay with their moms, 30, 40 years old, ain't did nothing. Mm-hmm. Their mom got a paid off house.
Or don't.
And once that mom passes away, he ain't got nothing going for himself, or she, or whoever. They're going to lose the house, right? Then you have us on the panel who are building for the next generation. So our generation is it's a balancing act. It's like you got most of us trying to pull to go so the next generation can be set, and then you got a lot that are kind of pulling down at the same time. So it's like a balancing act. It's kind of hard to speak. Because each of us know a person in each situation they're doing good, and some like, come on, bro, what you did with your life? You know what I mean?
I think that all of this boils down to education.
Yeah.
You know better, you do better.
Right. Being smart with your money.
So K-Money, I heard you mention, well, you said that, you can't understand how you're a pro athlete and you got all this money, and then you end up broke.
After making millions.
A lot of that has to do with not knowing financial literacy.
Yeah.
You got this money and you're not understanding that I got to pay taxes on these millions. I'm not actually paying these taxes, so now I'm being penalized. And it's costing me millions and millions on top of these millions that I'm making to do this. Then you got people that doesn't put away and invest. So unfortunately, man, a lot of our people in our community, we want it. Give me my shit right now. I'm finna give y'all a personal story, right? There's some land that was handed down to my family, right? Well, to make a long story short, at the end of the day, I thought that we should keep it. Well, there were too many of my family members that wanted to sell it.
Yeah.
Which made it like, okay, well, damn, I lose.
Exactly.
So we sold it and got our portions.
Right.
Now, to me, it was like, no, give me my money now.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus, no, we can keep this because it'll add value. It's going to grow in value. It can be passed down. And at the end of the day, what that land was worth when my people had it over a century ago, is worth more now than it was back then. And if it stays in the family, then it'll be, when I'm dead and gone, another 50, 60 years from now, it'll be worth more than it's worth now. So that's creating wealth, that wealth.
The pattern or the road
Yeah,
to
exactly.
generational wealth.
Yeah, and so if you know better, you do better.
That's crazy because the old heads didn't see it that way.
And it's probably worth more now if you'd have waited till right now.
That's what, and education, like you say, if you know better, do better, which is very, a very true statement.
But I do got one question on that though. Who was paying taxes on that land? That's probably that.
Well,
Because if it was one person,
you know what
or
we
if it-
went through. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. That was kind of discussed,
Okay.
and so it was kind of ironed out to where each one will be responsible for X amount of dollars.
Okay.
Now that X amount of dollars need to go to a particular individual that's going to oversee, and boom, let's get it. We get it paid, right?
Right.
Well, sometimes you can't get people to come together, man, to say, I ain't getting your money, and
Yeah.
don't nobody want to get off no money to do whatever. So at the end of the day, man, I can see both sides. I can see not saying that one of my family members had this mentality, but I can see where, I may be dead tomorrow. Give me mine now, so somebody may want it now. Well, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we keep this generational wealth.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're not thinking generation. You're
Right.
thinking just for me,
Yeah,
for
right
now,
now.
for me.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about the generational wealth.
These youngins that's running around here, this property, this land that they could be, running on and family reunions later on down the line type of stuff.
That and growing it.
Yeah, expanding. You're right.
You can grow it like man. I've seen so many individuals who came into money based upon businesses passed down, and those businesses were ruined.
Yep.
Education.
Ruined. Now there's no more money in the family.
Right.
Like for instance, another family member, right, had a wash interior, right? For years, man, since I was a little kid, had a wash interior. That family member passed away, and it went, that was money, that was income. Now it was passed down to their child, right? And that child has some income or whatever the case may be until some drugs got involved and lost it. But you messed up the generational wealth. You probably saying to yourself how much a washing machine is going to make these days, whatever. But you got to think about how long back then, when how much we were using washing machines.
Yeah.
It was something to pass down.
Pass down back
you
then.
can have some kind of income, something.
Right.
Exactly.
Now, it's funny you mentioned drugs. Do you think that's like a kryptonite, which is what
Took
prolongs
focus.
Yeah, it gets us off that pattern. You could be headed in that right direction, and being in the black community.
Yeah.
Do you think drugs play a factor in that, or is it just a mental thing?
Well, I can make an argument for both, yes and no. Here's the thing. Short answer, yeah, it can, because you're not in your right mind. You're not making the right decisions. You're not even caring. All you're caring about is the next hit or my dope, right?
Right.
Now, on the flip side of that, there are so many white families with wealth and on drugs.
And on drugs, yes. Yep.
So many white families that are on drugs. And,
Yep.
But it's
Which
still
is why I
passed
asked,
down.
is it a mental thing? Because, like you say, you there are families out there that's able to continue that habit and still maintain that wealthy status, but
they don't let the business. They educate it. Like you got. Like again, you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it starts in the home too, man. We, as blacks, and I will leave it to blacks because we're the most divorced, the most unmarried. It starts with family values. So if our upbringing, if you don't know what you're not taught, you don't know
Right.
You got to be taught it. So if you're not, your upbringing is not family and values. I mean, if your upbringing, if you're not taught that, if you're a single parent household, you get what I'm saying? Single parent household. I said that all wrong, I know. But if you're a single parent household and you've been used to one single parent and you get it how you live, go out here, be an independent woman, independent man, or whatever. That's how you were raised. So when you get older, it's like I'm in it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm in it for myself. So you ain't thinking about no family or no. Look, get it the best way you can and until you die.
So
That's really our personality.
The opposite of what we should be out here doing is what we are doing now. And why I want to say that is because the younger generation now are claiming a neighborhood that they'll never own. They're claiming this rather than going and purchasing their own land and creating their own neighborhood.
Yep.
Right.
You know, so the mentality is backwards. The thought of it is backwards because this is what they're doing, and some of them dying for this neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, it's really crazy.
Extremely crazy.
So that's what needs to be turned around. You know. So
Them streets miss me, but them streets don't miss you. I hate when they say that.
With the different avenues, like you mentioned earlier, Slash, that you know can be utilized now to start making money. You guys feel that that should eliminate or generational poverty should eventually become extinct because there are so many ways that folks can make money now to where they shouldn't be in that poverty.
Yeah.
It should be extinct at some point in time soon.
Yeah. I think because some people are just lazy, period. You know,
Well, and that's another issue along with the drugs.
Yeah,
with the drugs,
they don't
laziness.
want to learn nothing else. You know, they comfortable with whatever it is. You know, that's an issue.
But you have a lot of us like to keep the knowledge to ourselves. That's one of the biggest things. Like, I'm gonna make this money.
Well, think about it. If you know something of knowledge and you try to tell somebody what it is, 9 times out of 10, how let's say this.
Yeah.
Out of a scale of 1 to 10, how many times do you think that person gonna do it? Out of a scale of 1 to 10, are they most likely to do it being 10?
2 out of 10. I'll say 2 out of 10.
Or less or not gonna do it at all?
Most likely
0.
2. Likely, unlikely to do it 8. Most likely 2. That's what I say.
It's
so
gonna
like
be
a 20% chance you might do it.
Yeah.
Man, believe it or not, man, this is gonna sound crazy, man, but a lot of people in our community, they're unwilling to learn.
Right.
You can have somebody that's wanting to teach somebody, hey, I learned how to fish. And now that I know how to fish, I can eat for the rest of my life. Now, and rather me giving you these fish for you to eat now, I want to teach you how to fish. Are you willing to learn how to fish? A lot of people, man, I ain't got time to be doing this shit, man.
You get the fish right there. How many?
And they're unwilling to learn.
Right.
They're
They don't wanna
unwilling to
learn.
learn.
True.
Here's another true story. I like to hang out on the block every now and then, just to see some of my buddies, you know. And for the avid listeners of the show, you know, I live in the suburbs now, so but I love going to Third Ward and kind of hang out on the block every now and then, just to say what's up and show my face. But I keep it moving, not like hanging tough, right?
Yeah.
So it was a heated conversation when I pulled up, right? And I'm listening. So got my car wheels are turning. So I asked a particular individual, I said, hey, man, what if I told you I would give you $4 million and all you had to do was get your bachelor's degree? I would give you $1 million a year. You got to pass the class. You got to pass with a C average.
Yeah.
And you enroll automatically to Texas Southern University. give you $4 million. You get $1 million a year. You got to pass with a C average. Do you think you could do it? And you got to bring your grades. You got to show me your grades. Here's what came out that Joker mouth. That Joker said, I'll do it for a little bit, but man, I'll get somebody to do my work and get somebody to do it for me, and I pay them.
Yeah.
I pay them if I'm getting $1 million a year. I pay them about $100,000 to do it. And then see, you already trying to get over it.
Trying to get over
It's the mentality.
Yeah.
All right.
He already. I don't say if you use that energy to actually do the work.
Shout out to Pooh.
You use that energy actually to do the work instead of actually figuring out a scheme to make it easy for you.
Right.
And just do it yourself. It'd be a lot better, man. I mean, a lot of people, I think you're right. Try to get out of it.
Yeah, they don't want to learn. Don't want to do.
I'm
Man.
gonna wiggle out of it and still get paid.
Quick money.
Yeah,
They want it
quickly.
sooner than later.
Quickly,
Don't want to put the work in.
They don't want to put no work in. Yeah.
Rather scam than hustle.
Now, on the flip side of that, man, I don't want to. I mean, I can only speak of my community because I'm in it. But I'm sure there's other communities that's
The same way.
They got somebody up in there doing it, but it just seems like it's just us, though.
It is. I mean, think about it. It's all communities. I'm serious. You see Hispanics live together. You see Asians live together. They can be 4, 5, 9, 10, 20 people in the house. But blacks, if you're able to live with somebody, trust and believe you will be talked about within the first 2 weeks. And it don't work out every time.
Like I say,
you
man,
can't see it.
It's a pattern that we've seen, and I feel like, it the way times are now, it's no reason why it should even be existing, because again, there are so many ways that folks can make money in this day and age.
Right.
Too easy. So I was just wondering, because, like Freddie G was just mentioning, sometimes he rides around and go back to the old hood.
Right.
And when you go back to the old hood, you do see some changes going on,
they
and
make it
gentrification
change.
and all of that,
Yeah.
but you still see
The same.
some
still see
some
poverty.
victims of generational
Yeah,
poverty,
you
because
still
these are
see
people
it.
that you went to school with, probably their uncles and
Right.
things of that nature, but you see their family still living
Still
in
poverty.
these,
Yeah.
Sitting on the same porch.
and it's kind of sad,
Yeah.
because you would think at some point in time somebody,
Would have gotten out of there, man.
if
by
this was
now.
if this was a big family, you would have thought somebody would have
figured it out.
educated and made a way out.
Figured
Because
right.
the first thing that comes to my mind when I see it is, how are the bills getting paid? Seriously.
It's government.
I mean, if y'all all sitting on the porch, who at work?
Nah, Splash, you just said something. Government.
It's government.
A lot of people, unfortunately, like the government taking care of them,
Yeah.
that free money.
That's just what it is.
And that's another mental thing, You get comfortable and just rather get
Do
that
nothing.
easy money
Get the
and take
easy money.
advantage of the government.
take
And people are finding
yeah.
ways
to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Yeah, you have people taking advantage of the government, but there are steps and channels you have to go through to get to the money for the government to give you the money. And those people are spending time and energy and learning how to go and get this money. But when it's time to learn, doing something
You
else,
get life money.
yeah.
You could use that same energy to pick up the degree in as a doctor. You'd spend, I'm going to get around the government.
Yeah, that's
I'm going to
sad.
study how to get around the government, but I won't study how to be a neurosurgeon. Okay.
But it's sad, man, but I'm glad to hear you fellas do think that generational poverty eventually will become extinct. Hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. Today's black fact you can't take back. Today's black fact is the first black billionaire, who happens to be Robert Johnson, who co-founded BET, and he became a billionaire at the age of 75 in 2001. Thanks to the sale of his cable station, BET, Forbes magazine reports. Oprah Winfrey became the first female black billionaire. Those are Black Facts. This concludes another Hot Black Friday episode. And be sure you tune in next week for Music Mondays. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 52 Scott Podcast, Instagram and Facebook, The 52 Scott Podcast. And for all you YouTubers, don't forget to like and subscribe.